Hello, hello, and welcome back to City Skylines with Splat. In today's episode, we're going to be trying something completely new to me. I have never built with canals before, but we're going to give it a go as we try to mimic Australia's Gold Coast. Are the waterways going to go my way? Well, keep watching to find out. So my city has this great big island in the middle of where all the rivers converge. And I think the original map designer had intended this to be a big park-like area in the middle, and they made it all flat. I could do that, but I'm not really interested actually in just building this big sprawling grid-like skyscraper city center thing. I already have a downtown, I already have some skyscrapers, I don't want to do that. So I had another idea. I was on Reddit and I was chatting with some people on the Reddit City Skylines community, and I was just asking them questions about like what kind of things do you do with canals, because I have never really used canals in this game before, and someone suggested that I check out some Google Earth images of Australia's Gold Coast. Those of you who are from Australia, I have to say I am a little bit envious because as I was looking at pictures of this place, it looks really, really cool. And I want to try to build something that kind of looks like Australia's Gold Coast. There's a beachfront that is very nice looking, but the really unique thing, as you can see from this satellite image, is that it's crisscrossed with canals going everywhere, and there's houses built right on the waterfront. To me, this is a really interesting and unique way to go about it. And so I want to do my best on this little island here in the middle to try to build a canal neighborhood similar to this. And the Gold Coast of Australia is also quite the tourist attraction. From what I understand, they have sports facilities, they have amusement parks, they've got all kinds of stuff there. So I want to do something similar in the middle island here. I want to turn this into a big canal residential area, but I also want to do some things that we haven't done yet. So for example, we haven't dipped into the concert DLC yet, so I want to put together like a performance area. I think it'd be really cool to have a zoo, do some other things to also add some interesting tourism to the area. So that is the plan. That's what we're going to do. It's going to take a while, and today we're going to focus on building the canals. I have a few ideas that I want to try, so let's give that a go. So I've done a little prep work to get ready. I raised the highway up just a little bit, got rid of some of the on-ramps and off-ramps because I don't know exactly where those are going to go yet. And I also went over here to our rail network and I changed out the regular tracks for this high-speed viaduct that came with a content creator pack that they sold that had some rails and things in it. And I have made this kind of a high-speed, just overpass rail network that's going to be worked into our system. And then we have the bridge that goes up to some of the cargo hubs over there. And we are ready to get going. We're going to start on this end down here. I want to work on this bottom third, and then I'm going to move up here, then move into the top. And I want to put in canals that just kind of crisscross and cut back and forth through this island, and then maybe even connect into these lakes up here to work the lakes into the canal. Also, I think that'd be kind of fun. And yeah, let's just get started. So I've paused the game because what we're about to do is going to cause flooding like you have never seen. The water physics in this game are absolutely asinine and insane. And anytime you do just a little bit of terraforming, the great tsunami swells. So I'm hoping that we don't destroy our city in the process or wreck things too badly, but we are going to build canals that crisscross through this island and maybe even connect to these lakes. I think it'd be kind of fun to incorporate those into the canals a little bit and do some other things. So I played around with this a little bit. I don't really know exactly the best way to go about building the canals, but the way it seemed to work for me was if I used a road to first kind of just trace out what it was I wanted the canals to do, and then came back with the terrain tools and trenched things in, that seemed to kind of work pretty well. I'm just going to freestyle this a bit. I don't really have a plan for exactly what I want these canals to do. I just know that I want them to be somewhat natural looking. So I'm going to try to give them a little winding path to it. Yep, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my network multi-tool and I'm going to take my create parallel mode I'm just going to come through here and I'm going to start clicking on all of it. And I'm going to create a parallel road so that when I go to do my trenching, I have some boundaries to work with. Because the way that the terrain functions in this game is that you cannot use the terrain tool to raise or lower a road that you have built. No matter what you do, that terrain will stay the same. Now, when you delete the road, things might look different, but it's at least going to help me have a guideline for how I want this canal to look. I'm going to hit plus on the keyboard. I'm going to widen this out. And what I think I want to have is like some main canals with smaller ones branching off, which when I was looking at the Gold Coast imagery, it seemed to be the way things were going. So I'm going to actually make this maybe 50 meters across. Can it be wide enough? Sure. Why not? Let's hit enter. And because this is completely flat, for the most part, that should have worked. Let's go back in here with this tool and just see. Force the terrain on a few of these just to make sure that they're where they're supposed to be. Yeah. All right. And so if I did this right, I can take my terrain tool. I'm going to shift the terrain, put this to 50, bring this way down, go in here and see if I can't create ditch. I'm going to take the flatten tool. Now that I have a low point, I'm going to right click in here to set that. And then I'm just going to drag that flatten tool all the way through here. And you see, the reason I put these roads in is because it doesn't matter what, if I go over here, I mean, if I go past it, you can see that it messes things up. But as long as I stay inside the road here, I'm actually able to make a fairly straight thin ditch. And I think when I come back through here, I can kind of widen it out a little bit. But this is all experimental. I just want to see what's going to happen. I've never done this before. It's something brand new. Let's have some fun because that's what the game is all about. Okay, so we got our first canal trenched out. And I think if I then go through and bulldoze the roads, we should have a fairly straight trench, I hope. Okay, so we do have a trench here for our canal. It's a little rough around the edges, but I can now choose a key wall that I want to put in here and smooth things out and just make it look a little sharper. And I want to use this one that I got off the Steam Workshop called the Stone Key Fenced. Kind of a nice decorative little thing. And we're gonna just see what we can do here and see how this works. So I just follow coastline here. So let's take a stab at this and see how it goes. So we got our key wall put in and we now have a canal. There's a little bit of cleanup to do on some of these edges. Try to figure out why some of the odd terrain issues are happening. Oh, I dropped that down. But I'll have to come back through and clean some of these up later, which is not too hard to do. It's just gonna take a little bit of time. And I think I'm ready to try putting the water in just to see what happens. Oh, what's gonna happen when the water hits? Gonna get a big rebound wave that's gonna flood my entire world? Let's find out. Well, I have to say that this went surprisingly well. The water's still settling down. There's still some weird waves going on, but I didn't really create any massive tsunamis doing this. And I think as a proof of concept, this is going to work really, really well. So now the only thing left to do is to start putting more of these in and get things laid out so I can start putting in the rest of the city. So yeah, let's get on that and get cracking. right, we are making some progress on our canals. I've split the island up with these large canals, and then what I'm starting to do now, and this is taking a little while, is I'm starting to branch off with these little tiny canals off to the side. And my plan with these is to put houses all along here, so the back of the houses back up to the canals. Then we can put like some parks and stuff in the middle, or we can put more houses in the middle. And I'm just gonna go through and put these little branches on. I know it's not exactly like the way the Gold Coast is, which has a much more organic look to it with its squiggly lines and stuff, but I'm dealing with the limitations of the terrain and water systems here in City Skylines. I can't make the terrain too narrow, and I can't make it too windy, because if I do that, the water doesn't actually move through. The water kind of acts like jelly and gets stuck. And so I've spent many hours playing with this, trying to get it lined up exactly the way it should be. I think it's looking pretty good. So here is where we are at so far. I think it's coming along very, very nice. I am about 6.5 hours into this project so far. I am starting to see cross-eyed. I have gone through a lot of coffee. I have carpal tunnel in both wrists, and I am thoroughly enjoying every second of this. This is actually kind of neat. I have never done something like this before, and I have no idea if what I'm doing is actually working or not, or if it's looking good. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's definitely a thing. So what I've got going so far is just, I mean, I can't make it look exactly the same as the Australian Gold Coast because of the terrain requirements in the game. But I think what I've got going on so far actually looks pretty cool. Imagine what this is going to look like when we get buildings put in, and we start getting people to move through, and we get traffic moving around and things. I went ahead and decided to use some of these little content creator pack bridges that come with the game, just to give a little bit more flavor and taste to the area. I really like these stone bridges. These are kind of neat. They match the quay walls pretty well. I'm trying to reduce the impact that traffic is going to have in this area, because I can see traffic turning into just an absolute nightmare because of how constricted things are going to be. So I'm trying to build bridges that go over these canals everywhere. I've got 2 main on-ramp, off-ramps from the highway, and then over here I connected different parts of the city with some bridges to try to give people ways to get in and out. I'm considering the possibility of bringing a spur of the highway over, but I don't know if it's really going to fit. I may just bring a bridge across here and connect into this on-ramp, off-ramp here. But I mean, we can kind of go at that when we need to. The rail system from the subway is probably going to have to be above ground, because trying to work through going under all of these channels, I mean, you can do it in the game, but I don't know how realistic that is in life. But again, that's a bridge we can cross. We get there. I'm really happy with this, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm just going to keep going until I've got this entire thing filled in. This down here is blank. I'm planning on putting, I think the zoo is going to be down here, and possibly some other entertainment things, and I'm thinking about maybe getting some sand from the terrain editor and building this maybe into a little beachfront area. I don't know, we'll see, but I just want to leave a large space to work with. We also have a largish space over here I can do some stuff with. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep putting in these tunnels, or sorry, not tunnels, but these canals, and I will come back and show you what I've come up with. I'm getting really excited about this. I think this looks really, really cool, especially when you zoom out. It kind of does start looking a little bit like the satellite vision of the Gold Coast that I was inspired by. So who knows what else is going to happen, but we'll be back probably in another 5 or 6 hours. More carpal tunnel, more coffee. Here we go. After many, many hours, I have spent at least 3 days working on this. I think the island is all set up and it's ready to go. I've got all the services put in. We've got schools, parks, garbage services, fire, police, all the things that we need. We've got all the canals put in. We've got roads put down. We've got a space ready for train service when we get around to it. I am ready to start zoning this in and seeing what grows and what shows up here. I am really happy with how this turns out. I didn't know what I was doing when I got started. I don't even know what I'm doing now. Whatever this is that I've made, I think it looks spectacular, and I am ready to get going with some people moving in. So let's get started on that next. All right, so I've got things zoned in. I got water and power going through, and I have to say that I'm really, really happy with how this is looking so far coming in. I'm using the Echo housing for a lot of the area here, just because because I think it kind of matches the style that I'm going for. I went ahead and put a park in just to get some color and some trees and some property values. I got a little boat museum down here. I've got a ferry starting to run. So we currently have a ferry that goes from our stop that we put in when we did this build over here, and the ferry is just going across the river. I've gone ahead and put in some bridges so that cars can get through because the highway was starting to get quite full, and even now, as you can see, the highway traffic is backing up, and this is what I was afraid of. I'm gonna have to just do some things to figure out how to, maybe this one here in the middle is gonna have to have more lanes, or I'm gonna have to rework things because currently, since I am building from this side of the city up, everybody comes in on this ramp right here, and that's it. I'm considering bringing the highway down and around here maybe, and getting some bridges going across. That might work, but that's something we're gonna have to figure out. But I do know that one thing that we are going to need, and I wanna put that over here. I specifically have left this little section here empty because we need a train station that connects this. I think having a train station here connecting through this viaduct that goes across is going to help with some of the cross-city transportation needs, because that'll bring people from over in our harbor area. It'll bring people from beyond the mountain, and trains can connect going up this way, or trains can connect going up that way. So what we're going to do next is actually put a train station in, and I've got an idea for one. I don't know if it's going to look very good, but this whole island thing that I've been building, which looks amazing, has been just completely brand new. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done this before. It's all been experiments. And so we're going to continue experimenting, and we're going to drop a train station in right here. So let's go ahead and pause the game. And I'm going to bulldoze these little suckers out here. We'll bring those back in a bit. And I want to grab this train station right here. I have the elevated bypass train station. It's the same one that we used on the other side of town. So that's gonna go here. So I need a road. So I'm just gonna take a plain old boring straight road, drop it down, put the train station on top of it. And then this is the part that is going to be a bit experimental. I have no idea if this is going to work. I have no idea how I'm gonna do this. And then we're gonna hit Control H on our keyboard, and I'm going to click on the height of this other rail station and pull this thing up and see what it looks like. There we go. So this thing, it needs to be lowered down a little bit. All right, so that's gonna come in like that. Now we have this big old massive blob of terrain right here that looks really weird, just sticking up out of the island. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my terrain tool here, and I am actually going to try to expand this out so that it looks a little bit more, you'll see what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna expand this out and give myself some space all the way around this thing. Okay, does this look a little bit silly? Maybe. Like I said, it's a work in progress. I'm experimenting. I've never done this before. If it looks silly, I mean, we can deal with that. But I am a firm believer when I play games in the rule of cool. I don't know if anybody here is a tabletop gamer, Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, that kind of thing. I really enjoy DMing, which is leading the adventures, or at least planning out the adventures, but letting you let the players decide how things are going to play out. But you set the stage, right, as the dungeon master or the game master. And I'm a firm believer in what's called the rule of cool. There are rules in something like Dungeons and Dragons. There are handbooks with statistics and numbers and things that you need to follow. And I view those a little bit like Pirates of the Caribbean. It's not so much of a code as their guidelines. If somebody in the game that I'm running decides that there's something that they want to do that is a little bit odd, possibly even absurd, but it's going to make the campaign fun, it's going to make the campaign and the adventure thrilling, and it's going to let everybody have a really good time, I am perfectly fine with letting things like that happen. It's called the rule of cool. If it's cool and everybody's having fun and everybody loves it, I say more power to you and go for it. If the absurdity ruins the game, you know, we don't go that route. But if it's just something that people are just going to have fun with, let's do it. And so I view what I'm doing right now a little bit as the rule of cool. I don't think that it's reasonable to expect any city to have anything in it that looks like this, but maybe they do, maybe they don't. Now I have to figure out how to get the road down here without it looking too incredibly stupid. So you guys tell me, what do you think? Is this just absurdly stupid, or is it something that's fun? Does this fit the rule of cool like I was talking about before? I like it. I think it fits the rule of cool. It's a little bit silly. It's a little bit dumb. It's a little bit campy. But hey, I'm having fun playing the game and I'm experimenting with things that I've never done before. Would a real city have something like this in it? Probably not, but I've got one in my city, and according to the network multi-tool, the sloping isn't even that bad of a grade. Like, it's totally doable. I wouldn't want to do it on snow, but this is not a snowy map, so it is okay. I think I'm gonna actually just copy and paste this thing on the other side instead of making a brand new one. All right, so here is our train station with our little curly Q on and off ramps. I'm actually pretty happy with this. I think it's pretty cool. It's hilarious. It's stupid, but it fits in, and I'm having fun. So to me, that's all that really matters. I would love to hear what you guys think of it in the comments. If you have a better idea for how to do this than what I've done, let me know. But this is what I came up with. And so now it's just a matter of connecting these one-way roads into these main 4-lane connections, putting in a stop here that meets up with our other tracks, and I think we're good to go. I have an idea. I don't know if I can pull it off because of the key wall and the way it works, but oh, it would be really cool if I could figure out a way to tunnel through 4-lane road. People go underneath? I don't know. Let's get this all connected up. Let's get some railway stops put together, and then we'll be able to move on to our next project. So let me show you what I have come up with. I managed to get everything put together, I think in a way that's gonna work perfectly. So I had to move my 2 loops to the front of the train station, but that's not a big deal. We have one that goes up and we have one that comes off, and they go round and round and round and they match. But check this out. Using the node controller and the network multi-tool and a lot of patience and fiddling, this took me about an hour, I managed to actually get a tunnel that goes through this train platform and comes out the other side, and it doesn't look half bad. To get this to work, what I had to do is I had to put a gap in the key wall using the node controller to put some nodes in, and as you can see where the tunnel goes in, there is a little bit of a gap here in the terrain that I just could not get to level out. And there was this big hole in the wall that was stuck here. So what I actually did was I went into my Find It and I just looked for different props and buildings that I could put in that didn't require road access or anything. And I had these props for these buildings that I turned sideways, and they had like some little graffiti and stuff on them, and I stuck them in here and just moved around with the Move It mod and raised them and lowered them and whatnot to block off this ugly hole that the terrain has going on. And I think it looks really, really neat. On the other side over here, the hole was quite a bit bigger. I ended up taking some of these planters and like covering up the hole and like the top of the building and stuff. But you can see if I squeeze down in here that actually there's a big giant gap in the terrain that I had to cover up with some props and some decorations. But when you look at it, it's not half bad, I don't think. I really like how this turned out. I went ahead and put some wind power up here just to keep the train station powered while it's here. And look at that, some people are already coming in. Don't know where they're gonna go because the city's over there. But I'm gonna put in some walking paths. We're gonna get some ferries. They're gonna go up and down these riverways. And this is really starting to look cool. Okay, like I know I'm going on and on about it, but I'm actually really happy and really excited about this build. I've never done anything like this before. I wanted to give it a try. I wanted to see if I could do a tunnel. And I have to say, I mean, aside from some trees and some decorations and stuff we need to put in, this thing turned out really, really cool. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Am I crazy for being this excited? I'm having fun with the game. That's the only reason I play, is to enjoy myself and relax. I challenged myself to do something, and I think it turned out excellent. If you have some suggestions on how this could be better, let me know in the comments. You know, slap a thumbs up like if you think this is cool. It really helps other people see these builds. I just love sharing stuff like this. It's so much fun. This game is years and years old. I have thousands of hours in it, but every once in a while you stick up with something new that you've never done before that you wanted to try. And yeah, this is what City Skylines is all about. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm starting to put some ferries in around my new Canal Island area, because I want to try to reduce the amount of people that are using the bridges to drive in. So I'm trying to give a public transportation option. I've got a ferry here that connects over here by our university and allows people to get back and forth, and they can walk up through here and get back to town, or they can go that way on their car. I've got another ferry around this side, and I've got another ferry over here. And eventually we're gonna have ferries that make the complete loop around. But there's another thing that I wanna do. I've got these larger canals, and my plan for these is to see if I can't squeeze some ferries through here and actually get some stops in the middle of the island. I think that's going to be really cool. These bridges are going to be in the way. I haven't quite figured out what I want to do about the bridges yet. If I just want to like pretend and ignore them because we just don't really have some, I don't really have some of the assets that I need, or if I want to go to all the trouble of getting some of the bridges that actually can actually like raise and lower every time something wants to go through. They do make those. I just don't know if I want to do that because the city is already becoming unstable enough as it is. We've just about maxed out my computer, and I'm starting to worry that once we get this island filled in, if that isn't going to start the slow and inevitable death throes of Odyssey as far as what my computer can handle goes. But we'll give it our best shot. So I want to try. So we're going to pause it, and I just want to see what it looks like. I'm going to grab a ferry stop, just a small one, and I want to try putting one here on this corner. We're going to have to move it, mod it a little bit. So now we come in here, and we're going to grab our ferry pathways. And let's see what that does, and what it looks like when the ferries come, and if they even will. I think I want to stick with this for now and see how that works. So yeah, I think we can bring up stuff through this main channel here, through the lakes and out the other side to give us like an interior public transportation system. And so I'm hoping to be able to use ferries to get people around and not have to use a lot of other stuff. That's kind of cool. Okay, I like that. That's going to work. So over here in this part of the city right here, I have this big empty space. And instead of just putting a bunch of houses or shops in there, I'm in the mood to do a little bit of designing. So I've cleared out a little bit of the zoning and some roads that I had here because I want to put a unique building in here. I want to put the temple complex into this area and do like a little Asian garden around it. And to do that, I'm going to need to put a road in to place the temple complex on, just to get an idea of where it's going to fit exactly. So I want it to butt up against the waterfront. I think that would look really neat. And then we're gonna go nuts with like some bamboo and stuff a little bit later. Okay, and so I just need to pull this road around to that intersection, I think. All right, so we got that put in, and we got this thing here. I'm gonna grab Bob because there are some trees that I really don't like, and it could look a lot better. Okay, so I went in and I added a little more color to the temple complex than just all of the solid bamboo green, which I think just fills it up a little too much. I like to open up the space just a hair. So I changed the big full bamboo to a smaller bamboo that's a little bit thinner. I went ahead and put in these crimson kings to give a little bit of red. Replaced the side decorative trees with the weeping willows. Went for the cherry trees along the pathway, and then in the back we added a few Japanese maples and things just to kind of break things up a little bit and not just have this big, huge green blob of a temple complex. And this actually looks a little bit closer to what they actually look like. There's quite a few temple complexes where I live. I have been to many different temple complexes, and very rarely are they ever, the ones that I've seen at least, are just these massive, just overgrown, bushy things that the original asset was. So I think it looks a little bit better now. All right, so now we're gonna go around, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of decorating around this to kind of complete the area up and just make it look nice. So let me do that on a time lapse, and we'll see what happens. All right, so here is our temple complex that I've put in with the unique temple complex structure. And what you can see here is the temple complex in the background that I told you about what I did with Bob earlier. I changed out some of the trees and things to make it a little bit more airy and open, so it's not quite as densely full of just green, but there's a little bit more texture and contour to it. And then next to it, I put in like a little decorative park pond thing. I use these zonable pedestrian walkway, or what do they call the pedestrian promenades that have different textures for roadways, and then you use the traffic manager tool to restrict which cars are allowed to go here so you don't have people driving around, but it looks a little bit more like a walkable pathway. And so yeah, so I just went ahead and put a pond in the middle. This is one of the assets from the content creator pack, which is the Japanese city pack that has lots of different structures that you would find in Japan, and one of them is this temple that's really kind of cool. So I went ahead and tossed this in, put in some flowers, put in some flowering trees to give it some color. I like the weeping willows that I used. I used my circle tool with the brush that I used for placing down plants to create these little planters that took flowering bushes and placed them in a tight circle just to make the bushes look a little bit bigger, just so they show up more when you're looking at them from a distance. Over here, you can see I have added in this little Japanese shop that came with that same content creator pack. It's just a little commercial building, but I just thought it looked kind of interesting as part of the aesthetic here. I know that the temple complex and these two buildings are different architecture, and they're not exactly the same thing. Asia is a massive place with lots of countries and lots of cultures, so I'm not trying to offend anybody by mixing it all together and saying, hey, look, it's all the same thing. I know it's not. I actually live in Asia. I know how this works, but it's the best I could do with the assets that I had, and I still think it looks kind of cool. The trees that I've put in, the plants that I've used, these are all things that I've seen in Asia, so they all do grow here. It's not unrealistic looking, or maybe some of them are spring and fall plants, but hey, we're looking for beauty. And then I just separated off with these little brick fence assets that I've picked up on the Steam Workshop and filled it in with some of the grass just to make it look a little bit more full and complete. Yeah, I think it offsets really nice, and it just gives a nice filler to this big empty green spot that we had here. So this Gold Coast inspired canal project is coming along really well. I am up to about 16 hours spent on building this so far, and I haven't even started editing this video, and you guys deserve some content. So I think we're gonna have to call it quits here for now. so I can get this piece put together for you guys to enjoy. Please leave some comments down below to let me know what you think of what we've got going on so far. Is the canal system working? Does it look okay? Do you like it? How about that weird train station we put together? Our little temple, our ferry system? All of these are things that I've never done before, and I'm trying it for the first time, and I'd love to have your feedback. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoy what you're watching. It helps me know what kind of content you like, and it also keeps me motivated to keep doing this. Now, you may have noticed that my computer is starting to hitch just a little bit as we're making these videos. I don't have the most robust system out there. The cost of computer components has been quite high for the last few years due to scalpers and supply issues and all the things that we've all been dealing with for the past while, but I'm hoping maybe this summer to be able to upgrade. But for now, we're just going to keep plugging along as best we can and hope the City of Odyssey lives for a while longer. Though I don't know how much more after this island my computer's going to be able to handle and record at the same time, but we are going to give it our best go. So, like I said, please hit that thumbs up button if you liked it, subscribe so you don't miss any further content on the City of Odyssey, and thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.